We continue our journey through the revelation of St. John, with the last two seals being opened in chapter 6. The fifth seal continues the challenge to the perception of peace and security, not only in the ancient world, but also in our world. While the martyrs rest in heaven, the rest of humanity lives disturbed on earth. Faith in God and in the Lamb leads to death. And so it would be common sense that if one abandoned one's loyalty to Jesus, one could hope for greater security here in this society. But the vision of the seal contradicts this kind of thinking. Those who suffer on earth will find secure rest in heaven, while those who appear secure on earth will be shaken by the potential of heavenly judgment. The implication is that there is no neutral ground on this one. There is no room for compromise or waffling. It's all in or all out. The martyrs are not portrayed as meaningless tragedies, abortions of justice, but rather as meaningful sacrifices, hence their place at the altar of God. Romans believed martyrs in general, those who would die for their faith, were fools. But Revelation portrays them as the blessed and beloved of God. The question is raised by the martyrs, how long? An ancient question found on the lips of the psalmist over and over and over again. How long will it be before God does something about this current situation? God's response to this is to present the martyrs with white robes, signs of purity, holiness, and honor. And despite earthly hostility, they will be the honored ones and given rest or divine favor. The sixth seal opens with an earthquake and hearkens to the prophet Joel's description of the great and terrible day. It begins with the martyr's cry for justice, and God implies an assurance of vindication. Kings, nobles, and generals, the high muckety-mucks held in honor and prestige by society, are satirically portrayed as hiding themselves from God's eyes, much like Adam and Eve do following the whole scene with the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the garden in Genesis. The cosmic signs point and move people to ask the question, but who can stand? Betting money on this one would say no one. But stay tuned. So what did you hear? What images came to mind? What words jumped out at you? Any idea why they did in such a way? Did you have a song run through your head as you read through these passages? I encourage you to perhaps Google African spirituals and see what words they use to talk about the great reversals, like Mary's Magnificat does. What questions does the world situation today raise for you, or what suffering that you may be going through? What kind of questions come out of that? What would you like to ask God? And pray that God would answer. And in the midst of all that's going on in the world and in your life, where do you find assurance? In the midst of fear and uncertainty. Again, Take some time to journal with these or to engage friends and family in conversation over these questions. I thank you for joining me.